Welcome, everybody, to Drafting the Magic. A little bit different this time. It's not necessarily beyond the draft, although it kind of is beyond the draft. What it really is setting up the biggest thing that Drafting the Magic has done. Eric, I'm pretty excited for this. We are taking our favorite stories, literally, stories competition, this or that, and turning it into a bracket. Here we go, baby.
Yeah, and it's not even March. So I think that's
Nope.
the best part about it. Everybody in March does their bracket because, March Madness, college basketball, blah, 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 blah. And we said, no, we're going to do it in summer because we're rebels. So,
Rebels!
here we go.
Here we go. This was actually a suggestion that came through on the Drafting the Magic question of the day when we said, hey, what should we do during the summer? It was actually my wife that said, turn this or that into a bracket. So let's do it. Eric, this is going to be huge. We've got so many different realms of Disney lore. We have the attractions. That's going to be one region. We're going to get into a little bit more stickiness of that in a moment. We also have hotels and resorts, restaurants and eateries, shows and landmarks, all these different things. There's so much going on. What is the champion in this? Are they the ultimate Disney experience? I don't even know. We're taking everything, all these different things.
Yeah, 4 regions. We're going to go attractions, like you said, the food and eateries, and then we got the resorts and hotels, and then we've got entertainment as well and shows. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see once we get down into the last 4 to see what people think. Are you a foodie? Does where you stay matter the most to you? Do you love entertainment, or are you attractions junkie like I am? So we'll see how it all comes down to it, but. You mentioned the stickiness of attractions. Well, there's a billion of them between the 2 coasts, and that's what we're sticking to, the coast, because that's yours and I bread and butter. So we had to narrow it down somehow, but we couldn't just come up with 16, Christian. We came up with 16 on each coast, which means we had to add an extra round.
Yeah, we were talking about this. You and I were talking about it. I was talking about it with Sarah. It was like, I don't know. There's so many things that we have to do a preliminary round. We have to go all the best at Disney World, all the best at Disneyland. Some people will argue these aren't always the best selections, right? We only have 16 in Disneyland. That's a good chunk of the attractions here at the Disneyland Resort. In Walt Disney World, there are a lot of attractions not on this list. So I almost can't wait to hear how much people hate us for the things that aren't on this list. But this wasn't you and I creating. I mean, we had a little bit of a piece to it, but I'll be honest, we let our AI overlords, who we thank for everything they've given us, we let them kind of build this and put things where they are. So you might not agree with where Haunted Mansion at Disneyland lines up or Expedition Everest in Walt Disney World lines up. It wasn't our fault. It's Google's, or, whoever we want to blame. So don't blame us.
We shifted some things around, but very, very minimal because we wanted this thing to run its course. But I think you said the most important thing there are a lot of attractions that did not make the top 16. And I think that's where the biggest debate is going to come in. So what do you say we unveil this list?
Let's do it. Eric, you're going to kick it off. Let's unveil the preliminary bracket for the Walt Disney World attractions in the Drafting the Magic Summertime Showdown, this or that, whatever it's called.
Hey, there it is. Let's go ahead and jump 3 hours into the future because we're on the West Coast. We're going to start with the number 1 overall seed for the Disney World portion of the bracket, and that is Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, opening in 2022. It gets all the love right now because it's a newer attraction, probably why AI said it's number 1, and it's going to take on a beloved attraction that's been around now for, is my math correct? Has this thing been around for 26 years? It's Kilimanjaro Safaris, which opened at Animal Kingdom in 1998. That's the 16 seed. So you got a new attraction, a beloved attraction, but I think you and I agree, Christian, we don't think this vote will be close.
Yeah, it's a tough draw for Kilimanjaro. We all love Kilimanjaro. Yeah. It's a really cool thing to do, but it's not going to be Cosmic Rewind here. I've been on Cosmic Rewind. It's a great attraction. I don't know if it's the greatest thing that everybody touts it to be the greatest ride that's ever been created. It's a great roller coaster. I don't know about the greatest, but that being said, like you said, everybody's covering this as the greatest thing that they've ever seen. So that's why our friends in the computer world apparently think it's number 1.
Yeah, recency bias is a thing. Let's move to the 8-9 matchup. Usually these are 2 things that are pretty close together. I'm not so sure about that, but Haunted Mansion gets the number 8 seed. All right, it opened in 1971 at Magic Kingdom.
Disney World. It's not as good.
well, let's
fight me.
Okay. And the number 9 seed is Soarin' Around the World, which of course opened at Epcot a while ago, but of the Around the World portion opened in 2016. So that gets the number 9 seed, and I think this might be another one that may not be that close.
It doesn't even deserve to be on the list. I don't know how it got number 9, but I'm not going to fight with our AI overlords.
Can't argue with them.
Nope, yes, sir.
Allowed to. A 12 always beats a 5, Christian. I don't know if this is the one to do it, but and this is going to be a controversial matchup. Expedition Everest, number 5, opening in 06 at Disney's Animal Kingdom, taking on Test Track, which is the number 12 seed. Now, Test Track is closing soon, but since it's still open at the time we were putting this list together, we're going to go ahead and include it. It's about to get its second facelift. Most recently had one in 2012, so that is your 5-12 matchup.
It's going to be an interesting one because I love Test Track. Always did as a kid. Hate the new version. Hate the new version. So glad they're redoing it. So do people, I mean, we're trying to do this as the current version, right?
Yeah.
Soaring around the world, not soaring over California.
Right.
It's this version of Test Track, but does the lore of the greatness that was the original Test Track take over, or does Expedition Everest rightly move on? We'll see.
We'll find out. 4-13 now. This is a tough one here, a 13 seed, maybe with a shot here over a 4. I don't particularly think so, but again, the younger generation, they may think otherwise. Number 4 is the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. It's the original. It's still the best. That opened up in 1994 over at what was then Disney MGM Studios, now Disney's Hollywood Studios. That attraction is 30 years old, my goodness, and it's taking on the number 13 seed and another new and up-and-coming name in the business, Tron Light Cycle Run, which opened just last year. So you see, you wonder where the AI is getting its information from, because you have 2 roller coasters that are brand new. Obviously, people loved one more than the other. Yep. And I think that's why Tron ends up at number 13. You love Tron, but I haven't ridden it yet. So underseeded, probably.
I thought it was great, but it does get a bad look when people compare it to Guardians, because people love Guardians so much, and then, you know, let's be honest, all of the hype and advertisement was around Tron, and maybe it was just to try to kind of balance that out, but it gets its hard time, but I think it's a good attraction, so it will be interesting. Moving on to the bottom half of this list, the 6-11, Eric, this is one of my favorite matchups in this entire tournament we have devised. 6 is Seven Dwarfs Mine Train over at Magic Kingdom, opened up in 2014, taking on Frozen Ever After at Epcot, which comes in at 11, just opened up in 2016. Those 2 attractions, I would say, are pretty evenly balanced as far as love of them. People complain about one of them being a little too short. It's Seven Dwarf Mine Train, and it's about 10 minutes too short. And then for Frozen Ever After, people complain, oh no, we don't have Maelstrom anymore. Now there's no ride that we can just walk on because no one was going on it. Get over it. Regardless, I think this is actually a pretty intense 6-11 split.
I do too. And the question to me is, if all of our millennial friends, well, you're not a millennial, I am, are going to jump on that.
I don't know. I got to look at the chart.
You're probably in there. Maybe you are in there. I know I'm on the outer edge of it, like the beginning edge of it. So yeah, maybe you are in there. Maybe. But I wonder if they're going to jump on the whole I miss Maelstrom and revolt against Frozen Ever After here. But you're right about the attractions. I think the appeal is similar. But we'll see if the folks in our age group, or somewhere around there, will say I just can't with Frozen because of what they did to my beloved Maelstrom, that you never rode, by the way, which is why it doesn't exist anymore.
I rode Maelstrom. It was great, but
I'm sorry. When I say you rode, I meant the public.
You meant the public. You didn't go on it.
Yeah, you and I rode it all the time.
It's like when I was on closing team for Luigi's Flying Tires, and it was like, but it's our favorite. No, it wasn't. Stop. Moving on. Well, Luigi's Flying Tires didn't have track, really. I mean, it had a little area. But where we're going, we don't need tracks. For this 3 and 14 split, 3 is Star Wars Rise of the Resistance. What a lot of people probably would think would be the best on both coasts. I'm going to tell you right now, before we even get to the Disneyland side, this isn't the best on Disneyland either, Eric, because we wanted, this is one of those where we had to go tweak it a little bit. We wanted there to be a little bit of uniqueness at the top of the bracket. That's why Cosmic Rewind got there. So Star Wars Rise of the Resistance falls all the way to 3, taking on Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, one of the newer ones. A lot of screens. There's screens in Rise of the Resistance, but you've never seen screens until you go on Remy's Ratatouille adventure. So we'll see how this goes. I think this is going to go pretty handedly to a galaxy far, far away, Eric.
Yeah, I do too. And I think it is underseated. I think it should have been number 2. We'll get to that in a minute. But I think you're right. Not a ton of analysis here. I think this is Star Wars Rise of the Resistance going away.
Going to the 7 and 10, Space Mountain. Walt Disney World Space Mountain, which is the original Space Mountain, comes in at number 7, taking on another roller coaster. This one in Hollywood Studios. Everyone thinks immediately we're going to a big guitar, but we're not. Rock and Roller Coaster is not on this list for some reason. Slinky Dog Dash comes in at 10, so it's going to be Space Mountain versus Slinky Dog Dash. Space Mountain is a very old school roller coaster. Slinky Dog Dash, much more new school. 2 launches, love it. This is an interesting 7-10. This could be one that 10 comes out and beats a 7, because a lot of people like Slinky Dog Dash.
Yeah, I'm starting to realize that I think the AI may have taken into account social media activity surrounding these attractions.
Maybe.
And with Rock and Roller Coaster having so many extended downtimes recently, it doesn't get talked about as much. So it probably didn't make the list because of that. But no, good matchup here. I think there's some upset potential with Slinky Dog. People love Space Mountain, but the up-and-comer out there in Toy Story Land may just be able to pull it off. I'm going to lean Space Mountain a little bit, but I wouldn't be shocked if there was an upset here.
Yeah, me neither. This could be an interesting one. And in the 2 and 15 slots on the Walt Disney World prelim bracket, the number 2 goes to Avatar Flight of Passage over in Animal Kingdom. It opened up in 2017, and at the time was one of the coolest things that anyone had ever ridden. When you went on it, you didn't know what the heck was going on, but you enjoyed it, even if it spat at you. That was fun. It's taking on Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, also over at Disney Hollywood Studios. This one ruffled a lot of people's feathers. It took out the Great Movie Ride. We know there's a lot of history there, but it's still a beloved attraction. It gets very good wait time. So this could be an interesting, if not good. Flight of Passage is going to win. I'm trying to lie to the people for fun, but
yeah, I know you tried. This is no Lehigh over Duke or Norfolk State over Missouri. I'll tell you that right now. This is going to go chalk here. I think Rise of the Resistance should have been number 2 in this matchup. Not upset about the matchup. 2 newer attractions right here, but yeah, it's going to be Avatar all the way. Remember, I've told you before that I don't really like corn dogs, but I will eat one from Disneyland like whenever I feel like I can handle it, because they're really good. Avatar Flight of Passage, I feel the same way when it comes to simulators. I don't like simulators. Not a huge fan of them. I'll wait 3 hours for Flight of Passage. And I have. And I would do it again.
Yeah, it's a great attraction. And that rounds up the Walt Disney World bracket, Eric. A couple of these we think are going to be close. A couple, we don't know. But who knows? When people let their opinions fly, we all could be shocked. So make sure you go on the Drafting the Magic Instagram and go on our stories. You're going to want to vote for these. Everything is set up to go out at 12 o'clock midnight on Friday, June 14th. If you're on the East Coast, I don't know what time it's going to start for you. It just said 12 o'clock on my system, but we're excited. We hope you guys can go out and vote for your favorites, especially if you're out on the East Coast. You have these a lot closer to home than the Disneyland ones, so make sure you get ready to vote.
There's going to be some upsets. We don't know where they're going to come. Maybe it's where we predict them. Maybe they're not. But we're going to have some on the Disneyland side too. And speaking of Disneyland, let's take a look at the top 16 in the preliminary bracket as we kick things off here with the number 1 overall seed. Christian, we talked about uniqueness, and I don't think it gets much more unique than this.
This is one of my favorite attractions. And honestly, this was that, yeah, okay, does it need to be Rise of the Resistance? No. What's the Disneyland Resort known for? And the number 1, coming out of Adventureland, we're getting on Indiana Jones Adventure, the greatest Jeep or whatever ride it is that they've ever created. But dinosaurs so good. Yeah, that's why they're retheming it into an Indiana Jones ride. Anyway, it's taking on Grizzly River Run, the number 16 seed, who probably didn't belong to be on the list, but that's what happens when you're the 16. You barely skated on. So congratulations. You made it. Eric, is there any chance Grizzly comes out of this on top?
Probably not, but it gets hot out here. That's probably why it made the list. People talk about it. You get to cool off. I'm
not wrong.
Making excuses. I don't know. but no upset here.
It's not happening. Go over to the 8 and the 9, Mickey's Runaway Railway, that new technology that was the 15 seed in the Walt Disney World bracket. It bumps all the way up to 8 at the Disneyland Resort, which just shows you how many attractions we don't have here. So it'd be great if Disneyland Forward could just get moving. Thanks. And it's going up against Big Thunder Mountain, which opened in 1979. Love me some Big Thunder Mountain. This is an interesting 8 and 9 matchup, Eric, between very new school technology and an old school coaster.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. Old school versus new school. The 9's going to advance here. I think people love Big Thunder Mountain. I think they love Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway also, but this Big Thunder Mountain we're talking about here. I mean, come on, Frontierland. One of the older attractions in the park. I think it's going to scoot on by without a problem.
I would still probably argue my favorite attraction at the resort right now, still Big Thunder Mountain. It's such a great coaster. Well, let's go to the 5 and the 12. In the 5th spot, that 5th seed, we're going Pirates of the Caribbean. Walt's last attraction he worked on, and one of the most famous Disney rides of all time, taking on Toy Story Midway Mania, which is one of my favorite rides of all time. So what do we do here? I don't know, but it's an interesting 12-5 matchup. Does nostalgia just weigh out on this, Eric? Because it feels like it would.
Christian, a 12 always beats a 5, but not in this region. Yeah. Yes, nostalgia will win out. Pirates will advance rather easily is my opinion. But hey, we've been stunned before on some of the polls we put up on the old IG story. So we'll see what happens here.
And I feel like all of our followers are just going to do exactly what we don't expect, just
to make this more difficult on us. Yeah, right.
We're going to have to come back and be like, we were wrong.
You know what? And you know what?
We love it.
I would do it too. Who are we kidding?
It would be our pleasure. Anyway, going to the 413. An interesting 4, one of the most popular attractions at Disney California Adventure, Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, with an exclamation point at the end of it, comes in at the number 4 spot, of course, rethemed after the Tower of Terror. But still, we've seen that, okay, people didn't love the idea to people love this attraction now. So Guardians gets number 4, taking on It's a Small World, nostalgia at its finest. That's a lot of these matchups, Eric, is new school versus old school. But that's what happens at the Disneyland Resort when it feels like they went 30 years without making anything new.
Yeah, if we did this bracket in March, we probably would see Small World get seated higher because a lot of people like the holiday version, right? It gets a ton of foot traffic during the holidays. So probably why it's that low. But a lot of potential for upset here. A lot of potential. Mission Breakout is awesome. I love it. They did a great job retheming it. But this is Small World we're talking about here, and the original one nonetheless. So we'll see what our peeps decide to do here.
If my 2-year-old's voting, It's a Small World's gonna blow out this by a landslide. I don't think I'll let him. But there we are.
Yeah, that's true. And moving on now, we go to the 6-11 matchup, and we've got a coaster battle again. It's Space Mountain, which opened 2 years after its older brother in Florida in 1977, against the Incredicoaster, which was rethemed in 2018 to have the Incredibles layover, of course. So you have a couple of high thrill attractions here. A little potential maybe for upset, but I still think Space Mountain wins this one out. What do you think?
Yeah, I would think so too. I love the Incredicoaster. I have a great time on Incredicoaster, and I would say I enjoy it more riding it than I enjoy Space Mountain. But I think nostalgia and everybody's overall opinion, I think Space comes out of this safe.
At 314, we have another attraction that got rethemed, the 14 seed, Soarin' Around the World, which got its makeover in 2016. And that'll take on Star Wars Rise of the Resistance, who's a 3 seed on the West Coast as well as it is on the East Coast, opening in 2019. I think maybe, Christian, if it was the original Soarin', it has a chance, but not sure in its current state.
It doesn't deserve to be on the list. Next!
Yeah, you said that earlier. All right, the 7-10 matchup here may be the most discussed matchup we have in the entire bracket, not just this preliminary round, but maybe the entire bracket itself, even when you take into consider the other 3 regions. It's number 7 Haunted Mansion, which is just blasphemy that this thing ranked it at number 7, taking on the Matterhorn bobsleds, which these 2 attractions opened up a decade apart. Obviously, the Matterhorn opened first. Mansion came a decade later. Matterhorn is the number 10 seed, but I think this might be the closest vote we have.
Yeah, this is a wild one. The fact that these 2 iconic attractions got lined up against each other, somebody doesn't get to come out of the first round. And that's the crazy part, is that one of these isn't going to be going on the top 8 of the Disneyland Resort. And, you know, there's a couple of these matchups where you see that, but this one is a glaring 7-10 that it certainly a chance to be an upset, certainly a chance to be a blowout the other way. This could go either way. This is nuts.
Yeah, we'll find out. I'll tell you what will be a blowout, this 2 versus 15 matchup. We got Radiator Springs Racers opening in 2012 against Web Slingers, a Spider-Man adventure, opening in 2021. That's the 15 seed. Radiator Springs in a runaway is my opinion.
Oh, you're going with I thought you were going to say
Spider-Man. Yeah.
Big Cinderella. Yeah, there's no chance. There's no. My arm's hurt. What's the chances of an attraction winning when people come off of it complaining about their arms?
Mine have hurt every single time. I actually like the attraction. I think it's great. I think it's something the resort hadn't seen before. When you talk about that type of technology, people can argue that, you know, oh, but Midway Mania and Buzz, and yeah, but you know, you have to actually hold a device, whereas this one's actually reading your body movements. So the technology behind it, I think, is much improved, but man, does it hurt. Man, does it hurt.
It does. And I went and bought one of those like Iron Man things, and I still get last place in the car. So I don't know. Too. I'm not very good at it, so maybe that's why I.
From what I understand, it's not very conducive to tall people. That's the excuse I'm using, and I'm going to stick to it.
All right, we'll see how that excuse goes. I think that this is a safe bet. Radiator Springs Racers, which, let's be honest, one of the best attractions Disney's ever done as far as theming, is going to win this one. That is the Disneyland side, Eric. Now, this is all fun and games, but we need people to get out and vote. Voting day is happening, baby. And this day, Disneyland side, is going to be on Saturday, June 15th. You've got to get your Instagram story out. Vote. Try to get all your friends on it. Get your family members to vote for your favorites, or vote for the ones that you think we don't think are going to win. I don't care. Just go vote, baby.
Yeah, I get on that Instagram. Follow us at Drafting the Magic. You'll see it in the story where you can vote. Don't forget to follow us on X and Facebook and TikTok, and you can go to YouTube and subscribe and like and listen to the podcasts, Drafting the Magic, over on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast. Rate, review us. Christian likes to say 5 stars only, please. If you have any other opinion, don't leave it. We're just kidding.
Why are you here?
Why are you here? A new one.
Well, no, don't. Not in the ratings. We need the ratings to be high. Tear us apart in the Instagram comments like my family does, all right?
Oh, I love it. The vote, by the way, is only on the Instagram story. You can't vote on the other social media platforms, but go support us over there too, because we got other stuff coming out, and you're going to want to see it, so you know when the new episodes are coming out and all that other good stuff. And I'm going to shut up and let you talk now.
Yeah, let me talk, or let the people talk. Go to speakpipe.com/draftingthemagic. Call us. That'll give you an opportunity to leave us a voicemail. You can leave any review you want on the voicemail. We'll play it live. I'll bleep it out if I have to. But just give us a 5-star rating, baby. That's all I'm asking for. It's really not much. But that being said, this is the greatest podcast that you've ever heard in your life. And so let's just keep making it greater, baby. Let's go for the summertime showdown of Drafting the Magic, and let's have some fun with this, because, Eric, this is going to wage wars, and I'm just going to go pop some popcorn and watch these people vote on Friday and Saturday.
That's the thing I'm most excited for. Let the fighting commence. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
No physical violence, though.
No, please don't. But go
argue with each other.
And we'll talk to you, I guess, on the other side of Friday and Saturday for the winners of that, and as we move on to the next part of the bracket.
Make your voice heard.